Hi beautiful twin flames, welcome to YILDIZ Readings 5D. For those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium. I'm a twin flame who has been on the journey over 25 years. I'm also in union and I guide the collective to move in and through your ascension and towards union. So if you are new, a very warm welcome and welcome back to those of you who have followed me. All my social links are directly below. We are live on Fridays and we do have a private hub for the Twin Flame Collective. So if you do want to jump in the members hub, the link is directly below and on the main page. And without further ado, let's get into your Twin Flame update, which is the reason you're here, and I'll see you on the other side. Hi beautiful water signs, we're here to do your romance read for your soul path. Now I have pulled the cards. It is looking as though this can be one of those weeks really moving into next month that I do feel you're going to have to be extremely strong, and there can be some very bold brand new beginnings that you're ushering in, especially relating to your love life. Now, I do see for the water signs, it's almost like something that was up in the air. It's like you've got to really trust your intuition. You need to be bold and vivacious. You need to move towards something with self-esteem and conviction. But it might be one of those times that, everything's up in the air. It's looking a little bit messy before it's looking attractive. But it's also trusting your instincts of what this person is saying subliminally, as well as how you both spiritually communicate with each other. Yes, we could bounce into misunderstandings and misinterpreting maybe the energy of what the other party is thinking, but I do feel it's very strong and very similar when we look at the sun. Your hopes and dreams can be revealed, but it also, very uniquely, the sun goes forward, the sun moves forward. So I do feel from the Lionsgate portal, there is a situation in your life that you're facing, especially with romance, that your power from the past is really coming back. And I do feel it's linking to this spiritual connection, but I feel it's almost like you spiritually are revealing, and when I say revealing, it's almost like you're having these revelations. Wow, this is where I had power in my life. This is where I could choose things. And the one synchronistic energy that has really been coming through with the water signs is water signs are very intuitive. They never, if they love you boldly, and they will give you heaven and earth. Like, they'll give you anything. But once taken too far, it's like, there is a limit. And I feel there's a limit with any person. But with the water elements, they do love deeply. And when they really do love, they do remember you forever. So I feel it's almost this revelation of how empowering the connection with you was. And I do feel that they're looking at how life changed and how, maybe they didn't realize where they had some control. Maybe in their life there were things that were completely out of control. But I feel they're looking back to that old version of who they used to be, and they do miss that. I do feel they're wise beyond their years at this point, but it's almost like they're really tackling things, ending old cycles, and really being open to this spiritual connection. So I do feel where they're standing is really reflecting back in the element of where power was there, where they were in that beautiful magician energy, and knowing that this chemistry was there between both parties. And this troubles, it's almost like this fear that in a shadow phase, like, how are we going to feel if our structure isn't correct? How are we going to feel if we're not stable? How will we feel if this person, and I'm hearing the term till death do you part, and what love and relationships really mean. So I do feel for the water elements, it feels as though they psychologically are looking at the notion of traditional connections, but also that of the soul. And it's really being bold to choose, to whom you want to be with, to do this with. But there does appear to be an ending in order to have a new beginning. So if this is a karmic relationship, whatever side of the fence this really lands on, I do feel there's an ending for that new beginning. But I feel it's almost like these endings might have well and truly already occurred, but it's moving through it, it's coming to terms with it, and it's having the courage to move forward. I do feel the sensitivity is... Look, I do feel the water signs being very rational. But, sometimes the most rational choice Doesn't mean to say that it's higher octane love, but I feel this is maybe the revelation of what they had. Look, I was trying to make rational decisions based on where I was at a point in my life. Who I am now is building. Building. It's funny, I went to say building and I started choking, which is throat chakra. So it's that of what we do, not what we say. I am seeing that I do really strongly feel there's a change in direction. So I feel this person's taking their power back on one side of the fence, and I do feel in order to be with this romantic connection, there appears to be something that needs to come to an end, and I feel they're tackling it. Now, the funny thing is, it's also the outdated beliefs I feel that these groups are actually moving through and, you know, cutting out because it doesn't resonate with them. But it's also being very logical about what those steps are. Some of these circumstances that they're tackling, it might be an emotional time, as I mentioned. So with the emotions and the intensity, it can be due to having to end a cycle in order to have a new one. So there's always these rebirth kind of hiccups, these rebirth frustrations. By the time we do reach September, and I do see a key date for all zodiac signs being very important by October. Why it keeps coming through, I have no idea. But I'm referred to October as a portal point, but a completion and a new beginning point nevertheless. And I feel most of that's occurring already. But for some reason, October appears to be really, really important on the list. I do feel the frustration is sometimes coming to terms with the fact that sometimes we have to be the bad guy and making peace with that. We are actually being the bad guy when we're not being good to ourselves. And I think this person maybe was very strict with themselves, not wanting to hurt anyone, but realizing that sometimes we have to be cruel to be kind, that, you know, really giving another person a falsity is both cruel to self and other. But it's not that we intentionally do such. It sometimes can be that we are delaying that of what we need to resolve due to fear or expectations. And I kind of feel this person's making a very logical choice. It's, look, I have to be cruel to be kind. I have to be respectful and, you know, very much connected with my integrity. And I feel both parties are looking at this. This is going to be a fresh start. For some of you, yes, it can be that you are linking in with a Scorpio or could be a Leo for some of you. The others, it could be Libra. But nevertheless, whatever the sign, it is taking these bold moves moving forward, having the courage to be different, having the courage to own what you actually want, that of the past power, bringing it back into the forefront and using your previous experiences to get the best out of the circumstance. I feel ultimately there is a judgment, and I feel through this week, I feel you're going to be very reflective in choosing what is going to be correct for you, but actually implementing it and doing such. And, you know, there's a longing for this to be closed out so you can have a new beginning. But there's also for your psychology and emotions. Yeah, there you go. So you can be with a particular person, and it brings you sadness. It brings you sadness to bring another sadness. But there is this element where maybe somebody will be left out in the cold. For some of you, not all of you. But it's also regrets of the past, both if this is relating to your love life and you currently are in this connection and it's conducive with you. I'm kind of feeling as though there's regrets relating to the past. The regrets are maybe things not going according to plan, but I kind of feel it's more to do with those of you who are in a third party situation. I feel it's even if that had ended a while ago, you psychologically are coming to terms with it to have this open. So it's like shop open, moving forward, being able to be present in a connection and open to a connection. Okay, because there has been some stagnation, so I feel you've ultimately linked the dots of what would need to change. I feel both parties have of where the problem lies. It's also inevitable. I feel that your love interest is aware, potentially, and it can be that they're aware that this is going to come full cycle. But there also could be them fearing that this is going to be a repeated pattern, and that may be due to the fact that there's been stagnancy. Now, stagnancy, you know, fear of the past, also inevitably a choice is going to be made. The computer shut down. Anywho, back to it. So there appears to be, regardless, as I was saying, that this individual is feeling as though they don't want to bring any unhappiness both to you, themselves, or another person. But spiritually, there appears to be some resolve that they've made, some peace that they've made with the circumstance. Now, you kind of are looking at this, I feel this is the cross swatcher. I do feel as though you are trying to select very carefully, but I do feel you're almost mirroring this other individual. It's almost like you're trying to move through the matrix to avoid getting hurt, but also to use an intellectual over heart decision. That's not that that's wrong. I totally understand. Yes, you have learned a great deal, but I do feel both parties here are avoiding the tower. But I do also feel in order to not lose this connection, I feel as though they're having a reveal that they need to do something. And they do feel that you are the person that is the hostess with the mostess. But it's not from what you give them. It's the spiritual connection. It's you being the vibration of who you are. I do feel they're waiting to be with you. I do feel you're casting a wish but almost questioning whether they do or don't love you. I'm noticing the flower and making a wish, but it's almost like I'm saying he loves me not, and that can be she loves me not. But it's, you know, you put so many eggs in the basket really, and so much has transpired between both parties, including in your own life, that you're wondering if this is going to come full circle. I do feel one of you may be a bit concerned about what the other party wants to do pertaining to a partner, a wife, children. You may be feeling as though they're quiet and they're reflective. They're not reacting the same as they used to. They don't have anything against you, I'll say that. And you may be feeling it's to do with you, but it's actually not. I do feel most of you know that. Your concern is this person may not see the value in you, and you can be questioning due to the past of what they lived. Maybe there is something that is holding them at a more permanent level. And it's saying no. It's saying nobody is a prisoner. Okay? No, we are of our minds, but you're trying to make sense of it. You know, because to you it doesn't make sense. It's like if this person's not happy, you're kind of feeling as though maybe this is going nowhere. So, you know, you're desiring it, but can your desires come true? Because it's semi out of your control, you're feeling. Okay, how are they looking at this? So the way they're looking at it is they need to tie a cycle out. They don't want you to misinterpret them. They don't want you to feel less. You make them very happy. You do make them very happy. It's like they're literally saying, this is not your fault. This is not my intention to, you know, string you along by any degree. Hope. You know. They're thinking about that quite a bit. But they also feel as though you do want them to make a decision. So they're trying to make the most honest, earnest decision. But now it's coming down to them. Okay? It's not to do with you. And this is healthy. Hear me out. If it was to do with you, that is, okay, I'll do what I'm supposed to do. You want to know that person loves you. Is for them to decide in their own energy, right, nobody's bending my arm. I'm not here by any duress. I'm here of my own accord. And I feel this is where the person's got to. I feel they're not being their own worst enemy, not to you, not to another. They're just being very realistic. And they're looking at it like, yes, they need to take action to pull a tower down themselves, to tackle this, so that they can have their power back, so that they can say, hey, I've actually reached this epiphany. I've reached my closure. I've done all I can in this previous circumstance. But I do feel for many of them, it's almost like they feel there's leftover business between you and them. And the leftover business is, hey, a promised, you know, a promised statement. And it's one they hadn't acted on as yet. And this is how they're seeing this. They're seeing that they had wanted it, but hadn't done all they could. So the closure issue, in a sense, is just not, how do I put it? It's like, if anything, the leftover is about you at this point from the cards. Yep. A person of the past. A person that they have seen. I think you're very strong. But they also, at a point, it's almost like they were in self-sabotage mode, but you wouldn't enable that. So, goddess of destruction. The person potentially who is the obstacle is the guilt that we hold by not ending cycles. But it also could be a karmic energy, because we're looking at the shadow aspect, and the shadow aspect card, it was those changes, you know, maybe having to take the time inside it to resolve it, to close it, to choose yes or no. And it's funny, I don't usually look at the shadow aspect card as a karmic, but the first thing I saw was the creepy woman above the head, which is more, it's our shadow fairs. This camera. It's our shadow fairs. So I feel they're saying that, you know, they'd hoped that things would be on an even keel with this human being. But they did have can feel a little bit like a split personality, because I'm seeing two energies in the card. So there was a lot of conflict. It did take away their energy to be themselves. They weren't allowed to have friends. They weren't allowed to be open. They weren't allowed to have their hopes, goals, and dreams. So now what they're doing is actually rejecting the codependent energy, because to them it's control, it's not love. So that's why I said it needs to be the person to decide for themselves, because it's part of a cycle that we actually need to address so we don't repeat patterns. And I feel this situation has helped this person come to terms with such. Now we are going to dig deeper. We're going to dig into how they're feeling towards you more deeply, and how this is coming about, you know, when this is happening. If you do want to come join us, feel free. The link is directly below. All the information for it is in the rest of the video. Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you do want the link, it is directly below. All my social contacts are also below, as well as towards the end of this video, there is an image above the screen which shows you how to book bookings. Separately, we're live on Fridays on the main page, and 3 times a month at $11 in the membership hub, which is a private session. Now, throughout the week, we do have more content coming, so remember to click the bell for the notifications. And as I mentioned above, for personal bookings, we have webinars. We have the Age of Aquarius magazine coming, as well as your private sessions. Love and light. See you during the week.